So I guess you could say my nostalgia goggles are broken. So growing up, my brothers and I collected a large library of games, like kind of absurdly large actually. And lately I've been playing with emulators to go back and visit them. You know, I still have like all the old hardware and stuff, and like I could just, you know, play the PS2, but I don't have too many TVs that the PS2 could still hook up to. And the ones that we do have that the PS2 could hook up to aren't the best quality TVs, so emulators. Anyways, the point is, most of these games still hold up. This game does not, and it's really weird. Reckless, the Yakuza missions. A pretty interesting title, right? It's Reckless, but with a W, like a car wreck. It's funny. And Yakuza, that's an interesting combination. And this cover art is pretty cool. Okay, so what is it? So the gameplay is various missions that you all do from a car, or vehicle I should say. You know, there's also this weird buggy thing, and I think you can get a tank. I mean, pretty much a tank, like a armored personnel carrier. So for each mission, you get to choose the different vehicles, and there's some weird options. The missions are mostly destroying Yakuza cars for various reasons, but pretty much each mission has something slightly different going on. Nothing too crazy though, it's pretty much just go to this location in a limited amount of time, or destroy a car. Or cars. Sometimes it's a combination of those. There is like the occasional exception, like the blood pack mission where you can't get hit, but also you can sometimes, and there's also sometimes no way not to get hit. So I don't even, what even is this? Whose idea was this? And no, yeah, if you haven't figured out from the gameplay, you have missiles apparently. These cars can shoot missiles. I don't know where they come from, and I honestly don't remember that when playing as a kid. I guess I just didn't figure out the button for it back then because I didn't care. I wasn't actually playing to win back then. I was just playing to make things crash into each other. And you also have the ability to slow down time, which I do remember. But yeah, as a kid, I think I just crashed into everything until I either won or lost. But like I said, I don't think I cared. My brothers were the ones who unlocked everything for me. So when you first start the game, the story seems like it might be interesting, but then it's not. What's cool is that the game actually has two storylines, which I think's really neat. It's a really neat idea, but you're actually not given much info about them at all. In one storyline, you play as two girls that are kind of cops, but not really. And you fight the Yakuza because that's what cops do, I guess, like you're told to. And also they spilled your pudding or something.
I'm gonna get you for this. You're not getting away from me.
An armored delivery van in your vicinity is requesting help. They're saying that Yakuza cars are trying to ram them off the road. This one is yours, Dragons. Do what you have to do to stop the Yakuza car.
Do you think? That was them. Let's go.
I don't think cops normally shoot missiles at pedestrians, but what would I know? I'm not a cop. And the second storyline, you play as two guys in suits that I guess are being used by someone to, again, fight the Yakuza. They're kind of just like incompetent pawns that are competent, I guess, when it comes to driving, but that's about it. And in a weirder twist for the story, the game isn't set in Japan like you would think it would be given the Yakuza being the enemy. It's set in Hong Kong. You're fighting Japanese gangsters in Hong Kong, not Japan, which I mean, that's not unheard of to fight the Yakuza outside of Japan. And again, I don't know how the Yakuza operate. I'm not a Yakuza guy, but I don't think they're so prevalent in Hong Kong that you'd be running over dozens of Yakuza cars in a monster truck every other day, I guess, or whenever these things take place. But I don't know. Anyways, going back to the gameplay, each mission has a car or vehicle that you can unlock as a reward, which I really like. I kind of miss when games used to do unlocks for doing stuff. I feel like a lot of games have kind of given up on that for various reasons. You know, I feel like nowadays half these cars would be locked behind paywalls like microtransactions, since most are effectively just reskins of the other vehicles. There's only like a handful of cars that are actually different. But that's about it. The game doesn't have much content. You could probably speedrun the game without glitches in maybe 2 hours. Probably less, actually. The biggest time sink in the game is definitely retrying missions because the game really does not hold your hand. You know, some missions feel like they really want you to suffer. You're given basically zero assistance and have to deal with some of the wonkiest physics in a car game. which to the game's credit is actually part of its like limited charm. Like that was actually kind of what made it intriguing in a way, and enough for me to play for more than 10 minutes was just how silly it was. But yeah, you could definitely like learn how the game functions and master it, and then, you know, speed run it pretty quickly. And then normally in like a game review, which I guess this technically is, I'd have a section on performance. But this era of games were pretty much flawless in that they function as they intended. You know, frame rate issues and prominent bugs really just weren't a thing, and this game is no exception. It's just that how the games were intended to function can be really bizarre. And I'd say all of that wonkiness in the game's physics go more towards gameplay, because that's more a feature than a bug, I think. And also, I think it may be because of the emulator, but the traffic is insane. I really don't remember it being this bad. I hope it's because of the emulator, because this is kind of insane. But whether it's supposed to be like this or it's just a problem with the emulator, I can't say it's a performance issue. Overall, this game is kind of fun to mess around with, in the same way that a free-to-play mobile game can be fun to play around with for a few minutes. But at the end of the day, I really can't recommend this game unless you really like acing small challenges. There's not much content and the story is basically non-existent. And what little is there is just strange, and not in like a creative way. It's also a lot uglier than I remember. So my nostalgia goggles were certainly shattered, but I think that's a good thing. This game just made it much more apparent how good the other games from the time that I've been playing actually are. I mean, this game came out the same year as Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, Burnout 2, Stuntman, which unfortunately doesn't work in an emulator. I'm very annoyed by that because it's such a good game. Hot Wheels Velocity X, and that's just scratching the surface of specifically the car games from that year. Yeah, we used to get multiple great games in any one niche in a year. Now you're lucky to get one passable game a year in whatever you're into. But there's really not much more to say about this game. The way I typically judge older games is if they came out with, you know, a fresh coat of paint, you know, improved graphics, how would it be compared to other games? And for this game, I'd give it like a 3 out of 10, which in my rating scale that I kind of made up, 3 out of 10 means it's not worth your time. You know, and a 4 out of 10 would mean it's not worth your money, but you can find this game for free and it's still not worth your time. It's playable, it functions, but there's probably something similar that's free to play that you're better off spending your time on anyways. Which is kind of a shame because I actually think it had a good concept, especially for the time. It's just not fleshed out at all. It's not the worst game on that console generation, not even the worst car game for that generation that I played. You know, that probably has to go to something like Top Gear Daredevil, which that game made me very sad that I bought it and it was like $2.50, like $2.50. And this was back in like 2004, 2005 probably. I was just like, wow, I can't believe I wasted so much money. But yeah, I'm really not sure why I had such fond memories of this game. I guess I was like 5 when we got the game though, so maybe that explains it, but yikes. Anyway, that's it for today. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever played this game and what you thought about it. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button. And if you want to see more from me, subscribe. And if this video does well, I'll probably do more videos like this where I'm taking a look at an older game and probably make them longer too. This is kind of like a test run for it. But there's a lot of fun games I've been playing with emulators and a lot of just kind of weird games I've been playing too that I feel like I could talk a lot about. So I already have 2 other videos like this kind of in the works, but you know, if any of these do particularly well, I'll probably keep doing them for a while, mainly just because there's not too many interesting games coming out lately. So yeah, see ya.
What would I know? I'm not a cop.